Hey, welcome in everybody. This is Jared here with another concert review. This one is for The Warning on July 11, 2025 at the House of Blues in Lake Buena Vista, Florida. Or Orlando if you want to just keep it fucking simple. Alright, so The Warning. Let me preface this by saying this is a band I was introduced to when I went and saw Guns N' Roses back in 2023 in Hollywood, Florida. I had never heard of them before, didn't know anything about them, but they definitely resonated with me and my mom who went to the show with me. And after that, I started listening to the song Choke a lot because that was the song that seriously resonated with me from that particular show. And went through their whole entire discography, found some other songs that I really liked and enjoyed. And then kind of just kept an eye on them over, the past couple of years and hoped that they would come back to Florida at some point and I could see them. And I saw that they were going to open for another band in Tampa this year, and I was planning on going to that show, but then they announced that they were going to be headlining in Orlando for this show. So I decided to go to this show instead of the opening act show. And let's basically go ahead and dive into the experience. So drove over there, and going into this concert, I was thinking to myself, I've only been to this venue twice, back in the late 2010s, both times to see Buckethead, and I had never seen another artist here besides Buckethead. And I know my experiences at the venue seeing Buckethead were, it was very easy to park and get in there. The line wasn't super long. It wasn't a very long wait to get in the venue. And then when I got in the venue, there weren't like a ton of people in the standing area, the general admission, which is where I got the ticket for this Warning show. So I kind of thought that would be a similar thing going into this show. And I thought to myself, the Warning, they're not super duper popular yet. And I was thinking that there might not be like an absolute ton of people at this show. And the ticket was around $50, and there were still tickets available by the time the day of the show was happening and hours before the show. But we got there. It's at Disney Springs, and once again, parking's free, easy to get there and to park and to just pretty much walk right into Disney Springs and find the House of Blues. It's right there. And it was one of the first things I noticed about this experience was, boy, was I wrong about the amount of people that were going to show up for the Warning. There were so many people in line. It was just absolutely unbelievable. It not only wrapped around the building, but it came back around the front of some of the restaurants nearby. And it was just very surprising. No offense to the Warning or anything, but it was just very, very surprising. Everybody was there to see them. It was very different than the two Buckethead shows I went to, where when I waited in line, the line it went around the side of the House of Blues and then a little bit to the back. And that's where I remember waiting in line for those shows, basically. But this was way longer of a line. Now, the House of Blues holds 2,500 people. And it was honestly to the point where I was asking myself, are they sold out? And is this more than 2,500 people? And I was also thinking to myself, man, if they're this popular now, the next time they come to Orlando, it wouldn't surprise me if they moved it to the Hard Rock in Universal instead of doing the House of Blues, which holds a little bit more than double of what the House of Blues holds. But I knew that maybe them playing in Orlando would be a good place for them to play because of the Latino population, and they are a Mexican band of a trio of sisters, and they have multiple songs that are in Spanish and everything. So I thought that this would be a good place for them to play, but once again, just definitely changed my perspective on them for sure. So we got there at, I think, a little bit before 6:30, and the doors were supposed to open at 7. And the wait was very long. We had to wait like over an hour to get in the venue, and it was to the point where I was wondering if we were gonna see the opening act or maybe miss some of the opening act. Uh, Speaking of the opening act was this band called Speed of Light. I had never heard of them before, but I was interested to see how they were gonna look and sound. But got in the venue. Well, right before getting in the venue, one thing that was irritating was like, sometimes at the, going to an event, you can kind of just pull up your ticket on the website or whatever, have it scanned, and then go right in. But this was one of those instances where you had to have the app downloaded, but they didn't tell you that until like right when you were going to get your ticket scanned. And it also did say it on the website, but it's one of those things that I think I probably wasn't the only one who made that mistake. So that was kind of frustrating, just waiting so long to get in the venue, and then you finally get to your chance to get your ticket scanned, and then you have to fucking download the app and log in and all that shit and get it all sorted out. I kind of wish they would have at least had someone to like walk down the line and tell people that make sure you have the app downloaded, something like that. I think that's something they could maybe work at in the future if they ever do have something like that again. But we got in the venue, wanted to see what merchandise they had for the warning. I don't have any warning merchandise, to be honest with you, and I definitely wanted warning merchandise. They said it was upstairs, so I went upstairs for the first time in my life, never been up there. And I looked at the merchandise, and man, the merchandise was not good. It was not good at all. There wasn't a lot to choose from. The line wasn't very long, and it was kind of obvious why. I don't know if they had more stuff and maybe they just kind of sold out of it quickly, or if that was just literally everything they had, but I wasn't interested in any of the shirts or any of the other items that they had, unfortunately. And that was disappointing, but at the same time, I was like, well, maybe like after the show, I can just go on eBay and get something that's like way cooler in relation to this concert, in relation to this band, and it's cheaper. So that is what I ended up doing. So I ended up not getting any merchandise, went back downstairs, and man, once again, just people absolutely everywhere. It was just elbow to elbow. It was just very different than those Buckethead concerts that I went to years ago. And I was thinking, like, man, since we had the general admission standing room tickets, I was thinking we would be standing literally on the floor, but that was not the case because it was so packed. We tried to go stand on the floor, but we were basically just like so far back, and we were over on the side and everything just wasn't a good view, and it was just like, let's try to figure something else out. So we ended up going on the steps in the middle of the back of the venue and right behind the mix, and luckily we got a good angle at everything, and it really worked out. I'm so happy that we were able to find those spots available. And I was a little worried because we were underneath the balcony, and I've been to a NASCAR race before where I was underneath the grandstands in a 3-4 hour race at Atlanta and back in the day, and it was just so loud because of the acoustics of sitting underneath the balcony that my ears were ringing for days. So I was a little worried about that. Speed of Light started around 8 o'clock. So like I said, doors were at 7, Speed of Light started around 8. So they gave the fans a good hour to get in there. So Speed of Light is another trio band. This is a sister and 2 brothers. The sister is a bass player that does lead vocals, and then she has her brother doing lead guitar, and then her other brother on the drums. And they were solid. I thought the second song they did was probably the song that resonated with me the most. I still don't even know the name to it. I tried to look up their set list online after the show, and I didn't see any information about their set list, but I definitely want to figure out what that second song was. But their music, I would describe it very heavy, very hard rock and heavy, and very grungy. They definitely gave me a lot of like Nirvana vibes, Alice in Chains vibes. Um, the lead singer, she definitely has a good voice, and she definitely has that screamo voice that she utilizes on occasion, which kind of reminded me of like Emily Armstrong of Linkin Park. Um, but they're talented musicians. They had a solid performance, and did a good job, warming up the crowd and everything. They played for about 30 minutes. It was about 8:30 when they were done. But cool to get to see a new band that I'd never heard of, and I wish them nothing but the best in the future for sure. Lead guitar player was solid. He had some good guitar solos and stuff, and I thought they had good chemistry. They definitely have practiced a lot, and they do a good job transitioning into their different parts of their songs and stuff like that. So they played for 30 minutes, and I was very curious to see how long it would take for the Warning to get out there. I thought they would maybe give them like a good 15-minute intermission between Speed of Light and the Warning, and maybe go on around 8:45, but that was not the case. It was 30 minutes. The Warning went on right around 9 o'clock, and they started off with this like blue lighting, and then they had this video playing up on the screen. And now looking back on it, what they call this little intro video is they call it the intro blob. And it's basically just like a white screen with this black blob that's just kind of like tearing apart and then coming together, and then tearing apart and coming together. I wasn't sure if it was like blood, wasn't sure exactly what it was, but it kind of just does that a few times. And then next thing you know, the Warning band members came out on the stage. The crowd goes crazy, of course, and the video intro eventually gets to its ending, and it kind of turns into just like a silhouette. And then they bust into their set. They start with the song 6 Feet Deep, which is the first song on their latest album, Keep Me Fed. Speaking of Keep Me Fed, this is the Keep Me Fed Tour 2025. I've seen varying things. Some people call it the Keep Me Fed Tour 2025 or the Keep Me Fed World Tour 2025, but either way, it's the Keep Me Fed Tour, which came out last year. And they bust into 6 Feet Deep. One of the first things that I noticed about their concert is their light show. They had these like just eye-piercing lights on this first song, these white strobe lights, and it was actually very, very cool. But at the same time, it was one of those things that it's like, it definitely took a second for the the shit to get out of your eyes, you know what I'm trying to say, with the lighting and everything, because that's how strong the lighting was. But they did 6 Feet Deep, and it's great to see them again. I will say one thing that was really cool from this show compared to the last show when I saw them 2 years ago was it was just cool to see them just a couple of years older, and seeing what they look like now. When I saw them back in Hollywood, all those couple of years ago, Danny had like brownish blonde hair, and Pau, she had like a beret, and both of them looked very different is what I'm trying to get at here. But now Danny has like just mainly blonde hair, and Pau just like has red hair, and that's just interesting to see their stylistic changes over the last year plus. Then they did Sick, and then they did Satisfied, and then number 4 was Choke. Choke is the song that resonated with me once again from the first show when I saw them back in Hollywood. And it was just something about those high notes in the chorus from Danny that seriously stuck with me. And I'll say, I'm glad I got a video of this performance of Choke, like a video clip. It's on my vlog, which by the way, it's my last video that I uploaded if you want to check out some of the stuff that I'm talking about. And I will say, Choke is what resonated with me the most out of this concert again. I thought that was the high point. Uh, really enjoyed the performance of it, and just really awesome to hear those high notes live again. Then they bust into the first Spanish song, and I'm going to try to pronounce this correctly. Que Mas Quieres? I was curious if they were gonna do maybe more of their Spanish songs because of the demographic, like I mentioned earlier, and I'll get back to that in a second. Then number 6 was Escapism. They did an extended outro on that one. Number 7, Apologize. 8, More. 9, Money. 10, Burnout. 11, Sharks. And then they did another little video thing. It's called Intro 404. Speaking of the video board, they utilized it the whole entire concert, which I thought was interesting. I wasn't really expecting that, but they definitely did that the whole entire concert. And to go back to the intro blob to begin the concert, I actually thought when it was done, it was just gonna like kind of splatter the warning on it or something, but they never did that. Like I said, it just turned into like a black silhouette. So I was wrong in my prediction there. Number 12, Disciple, followed by band introductions. Number 13, Hell You Call a Dream. Number 14, another Spanish one, Martirio. Number 15, Evolve. And then they went ahead and took a little break to come back and do their encore. Number 16, Narcisista, another Spanish one. And then number 17, Automatic Sun, which is the song that they ended on. And something about this particular song, which I thought was really interesting and unique about this particular show, when they went to go start Automatic Sun, Danny's guitar was not working. And it was definitely a technical difficulty where they had to like just immediately stop what they were doing, and she had to go change her guitar. Or not change her guitar, but just get it fixed real quick, give it to her tech and have him fix it. And while we were waiting, she was just kind of smiling and dancing around the stage, and eventually she got her guitar back and they went ahead and did Automatic Sun. Interesting, especially because at one point during this, Powell was like, it wouldn't be a warning show without a guitar issue. And I actually have seen video clips in the past where they have had this like same issue with the guitar, and they just like kind of had to improvise on the spot or whatever. So yeah, they did 17 songs and they played for about an hour and 20 minutes, you know, obviously including the little intermissions and stuff like that. Very tight, compact show, but I don't have any gripes about how long they played, to be honest with you. I bet some people probably would, but me, no, not really. I think some bands, and it doesn't really have anything to do with their music, really. I just think a lot of shows in general can be shortened by a lot. Like Guns N' Roses, for example, obviously rock legends and everything, my favorite band of all time. I'm not going to complain that they're playing 3 hours, but I will say it is a very, very long show. It's crazy to think like this warning show, basically, it would be, compared to Guns N' Roses, it would be like this times 3 or times 2, whatever. But anyway, yeah, it's just a good hour, 20-minute show, and very energetic. I thought like the concert just has so much energy. The crowd was great. Like I said, elbow to elbow, and just so many moments during the concert where the fans were just singing along to the songs. I didn't realize how singable like the warning songs are. Like there's so much crowd participation, and they definitely play on that. Like they get the crowd involved a lot. I think Danny does a really good job at commanding the audience. She did comment at one point that this was the first time that they had ever been in Orlando. She said that they hope to be back. Pow said they will be back. Yeah, she commented how the crowd was just really packed in there, and it was definitely something that resonated with them. Something else about Danny, she actually said that she felt under the weather that day, and she was basically a little worried that she might not make the show, but she said that she was really glad that she did. And man, you wouldn't really know that she was sick because she performed so well. Maybe some of the moments when she was like talking to the crowd, maybe you could tell a little bit her voice maybe was a little bit different, but did a fantastic job performing, hit the high notes fantastically. I thought to myself, like, man, how is she going to be able to keep that voice forever? I just hope she can. I assume she takes good care of it. That's the thing about this band is they don't do drugs. They tour with their parents. They're just very, very talented. But on the topic of Danny, I will say one of the other things that really resonated with me about the first time I saw them was it really seemed like Danny was really the star, like the real show, the real front woman of this band. Not to take away from Pau or Allie, they are fantastic musicians, and they definitely have their moments, and they are they're not just like in the background. They definitely all three really contribute. But I'm saying Danny definitely is she is the real show. She is what I think most people are really focused on. She is lead on most of the songs. And I was actually kind of surprised because this show was no different. And I kind of forgot about that. I forgot that Danny was like the main star. And you might be thinking like, how could you forget that? And honestly, when you watch like live performances of them and watch videos on YouTube and stuff, they show all the band members so much, and it really comes across like they just all are I don't know how to say it, like they all seriously are just so prominent at all times during the show. But when you watch them live, at least for me, it's mainly Danny. But I will say, man, Pau is such a good drummer. Her drum fills are awesome. She is a great singer. Wish she actually sang lead more, to be honest with you. Allie doesn't do lead on any of the songs except for Choke. She does a little segment during Choke where she does a little bit of lead vocals, but that's really it. She mainly just does the backup vocals. Pau does backup vocals too, but yeah, I just think they're all so talented. You can just tell they practice so much over the years, and they have so much chemistry. These girls, I mean, I should say these ladies, are doing so many shows right now. Like they're not just doing one show here, one show there. Like right now, like I'm recording this on Monday. My show was on Friday. They played my show on Friday, and then they played in Atlanta on Saturday and Nashville on Sunday. 3 nights in a row is crazy. But man, they're in their 20s, and I guess they have the energy to do it. And it also, I'm sure, helps not doing like 2.5, 3 hour sets. But as far as the set goes, I'm cool with it. I will say one little disappointment, well, that I have to say. My favorite Warning song is Consume from Keep Me Fed. They did not play Consume, as you can tell, because I didn't say they played Consume on the set list here, unfortunately. Really hoping they would play it, but they didn't. And I looked at their other set list to kind of compare and contrast, and it seems like Consume is one, I think on a night-to-night basis, they kind of just like decide if they want to do it or not. And this happens to be one of the shows they didn't do it. They also didn't play it on Saturday or Sunday. So got a little unlucky on that one. They didn't decide to play Consume on this one. But as far as the set list go for this tour, I mean, it's pretty much, this is the standard set list. You're gonna see and hear this every night, give or take maybe a song here or there like Consume, or they might, drop a couple songs. Like I noticed on the Saturday show, they actually dropped 2 songs that they played in Orlando for this show, which I thought was interesting. I do wish that maybe they did throw in 1 or 2 songs from the first 2 albums, like Survive or The End, Stars Will Never Fade. The light show was really good. As much as I love the light show, there were times where the lighting was like so bright that I couldn't see any of the members really on the stage. Like Choke, for example. I really wanted to see Danny belting out those notes, but it was the blue lights were so blue that I couldn't see anyone on the stage, unfortunately. Luckily, the sound was not an issue. I will say, like when Speed of Light started, it was very loud. being under the balcony and everything. But I got used to it very quickly, and it was not an issue throughout the whole entire night, luckily. But I will say, when I got to the car after the show, my ears were ringing for a very little bit, but it quickly subsided. Danny changes guitars every single song, which is interesting. And another thing that's interesting about her guitars, she has these little LED lights on the neck, like behind the neck, and it's like her face like illuminates up, like throughout all of these songs and everything. So they played 11 Keep Me Fed songs. They played 5 Error songs. And then they did one just regular single song, which was Narcissista, which I had actually never heard before. Like I said, I've listened to all their albums, but I didn't listen to that particular single. So that was my first time ever hearing that song. But 3 Spanish songs once again, but they actually do that at like every single show for the most part. So I don't think that really had a ton to do with the Orlando specifically, but they did an excellent job, great job for sure. And I will say, at one point, Danny was catering to the crowd, asking like, is everybody okay? And like, if anyone ever has any issues or anything, like let us know. Like, we want everyone to be safe and everything. And then she was like trying to point toward the crowd, and it seemed like something was going on, like at one particular area of the crowd, and then like a health issue maybe or something. But then she was like, oh, maybe I was mistaken. And when I looked on online afterward, I read that there was actually a fight in the crowd at one point. I don't know how true that is, but I read that online, so it's got to be true. Maybe that's what she was referencing when she was saying that. But I didn't personally notice that. Yeah, that was pretty much it. I'm glad I got to see them, especially for a good price. I would have paid over $100 to see them. But yeah, they said it was, I looked on the Warnings social media afterward, and they said it was sold out. I will say, I looked like right at showtime, and there were still tickets available. But they said it was sold out, so I'll take their word for it. It seems like they've been selling out a lot of shows on this particular leg of the tour, and they just seem to be getting bigger and bigger. But really cool. Really glad I got to see them again, and a headlining perspective for sure. So that's it. The Warning in Orlando, or Lake Buena Vista, whatever you want to call it, Florida. Hope you all enjoyed. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.